Tokenization has been one of the biggest narratives for the last roughly 2 years now, and it's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially as we do start to see more and more institutional players, asset management companies, and even governments talking about tokenization and starting to look into it and even adopt or even tokenize things of value. This is going to be one of the biggest things that really, I would say, drives the value of utility-based projects like Hedera. And over the next couple years, we are going to start to see everything moving on chain. And that's not my quote. That's actually a quote from Lehman Baird. And he even said that everything of value will be tokenized within 5 years. Now, he's talking about AI and how it can unlock blockchain for everyone, no coding needed, within this article. Now, I'm not going to read the entire article because I'm not going to waste your guys' time, but we do have a few things within this article that I do want to spotlight. Number one, I want to go over the key points. So we have Hedera co-founder Lehman Baird predicts AI will accelerate blockchain adoption, making development accessible to non-technical users. Hedera's AI studio and partnerships aim to democratize blockchain development and address AI data provenance concerns. Now, on top of that, down here, we do have a few things being spotlighted. We have the AI studio, obviously, which makes everything easier. But we also have that use case with Equity Lab with Intel and NVIDIA being talked about, creating immutable records of AI model training data. This is huge because these are two companies powering the Fortune 500 and almost every single enterprise out there. And the fact that this is built out on Hedera is so crucial because that's also going to be hand in hand with, tokenization. Now, obviously, regulatory clarity is one of the biggest things that we have to focus on here, but we even have that the landscape is changing. And yeah, it is. Regulation is going to be the biggest catalyst, I would say, to accelerate everything happening within crypto. Not just tokenization, not just, adoption of stablecoins and things like that, but everything. And we even have down here that looking ahead beyond regulation, everything will be tokenized. Everything of value in the world will be tokenized. So if we're thinking about this, right? Like right now, what amount of money is on chain? Well, we already have a figure of how much money is on chain. It's about $23.13 billion. This is absolutely nothing. This is a drop of water in the global value bucket. Now, we're going to talk about that here in a second because I want to come back to this. Because on top of the tokenization of everything, we have Hedera. Tokenization is transforming finance. And this is actually one of the employees at Ripple, Nomini, and she is a major player to focus on around Hedera. She's actually the one that wrote about the balance sheet of the planet living on Hedera as well. And she's actually helping shape the vision around tokenization. And this is from the World Economic Forum's latest report on how tokenized assets can drive transparency, efficiency, and access across markets. Within this actually from Accenture as well. But within this, we have asset tokenization in financial markets, the next generation of value exchange. Tokenization offers a new model of digital asset ownership that enhances transparency, efficiency, and accessibility. This report analyzes asset class use cases in issuance, securities financing, and even asset management, identifying factors that enable successful tokenization implementation. Now, they do outline exactly what tokenization is, but what's crazy about this, right, is how the entire system, everything of value, will soon move on chain. Now, I'm not going to go in depth on this report because, again, I don't want to waste your guys' time, and there's a lot of information that I actually want to go over in this video, but I want to focus on Accenture real quick because, this is in collaboration with Accenture. Accenture has 9,000 plus clients across more than 120 countries and 350 plus partners in their ecosystem. This is one of the largest companies out there, and they are going all AI, all digital. They've been focused on, their digital strategy for so long. I put a spotlight on Accenture over the years because of the names tied to Accenture. For an example, if we actually look at some of their key partners, now this is not all of their partners, this is just key partners. I'll talk about all of their partners here in a second. But if we actually look at some of the names behind Accenture, Adobe, AWS, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Oracle, Salesforce. Guys, these are giants in the enterprise system. But if you actually look at their entire network, you could see just a few of some of the additional big players that are tied to them. And what's crazy about this is, Accenture is tied to almost every enterprise company in the world. And they're starting to advance AI and even DLT and blockchain adoption because they are a digital first company. So the fact that they're talking about tokenization the way that they are with the World Economic Forum, it leads me back to 2021, right? When the World Economic Forum predicted that $867 trillion will be disrupted by blockchain. That number today has quickly grown to well over $1 quadrillion. But what's crazy about that is, the entire market cap of crypto is what? 3 trillion roughly? We hit a high of like $4 trillion. So you are talking about over a 200x for the entire market. We're not just talking about, Bitcoin or Ethereum or HBAR. We're talking about the entire crypto market. A 200x value disruption. So where do you think crypto will be? What do you think the value of the crypto market will actually be? Well, that question is a loaded question because we don't actually have a solid answer to it because there's so many unknowns. All we need to understand here and all we need to actually know is the value of crypto is going to be so much higher. And all assets will eventually be tokenized. Stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, everything of value. And it is starting on some of these great networks like Hedera. Hedera is definitely leading the pack here. It's one of the biggest players, and it's through a lot of these partnerships, like, for an example, Zonix. Now, this is a company that's actually partnered up with Ripple as well to advance XRP Ledger tokenization. But we have here that we're excited to announce that StegX, the institutional real estate platform, is tokenizing 100 million plus of real estate as tokenized real world assets on the Hedera network. These tokens will leverage ERC 7518, the dynamic compliant interoperable security token standard from Zonix that is designed explicitly for institutional tokenization. And here we actually have the facts behind this standard. Number one, it embeds jurisdiction-aware compliance directly at the token layer, automates KYC and AML enforcement and transfer restrictions, powers full lifecycle management of tokenized securities from issuance to post-trade servicing, enables global distribution by aligning with diverse regulatory frameworks. Now, the big thing here is that this doesn't even outline the total value being disrupted here through this partnership. We actually have over here from Zonix the $100 million moment that changes everything. For years, tokenization was a vision, a promise whispered at conferences and in white papers, but last week it became real. 3 European family offices, over $100 million in real estate, fully compliant on-chain live, powered by Zonix's ERC 7518 compliance infrastructure, executed on Hedera, brought to market by StegX Finance. This marks the first chapter of a new financial era where real-world assets are digitized, distributed, and regulated from the inside out. No middlemen, no compliance gaps, no borders. ERC 7518 turns security tokens into dynamic compliance engines built for institutions, designed for scale, ready now. $10 billion plus in the pipeline. So 100 million is the starting point. There's 10 billion plus in the pipeline. Secondary markets coming, global distribution unlocked. If you've been asking or waiting to step in, this is your signal. So again, when we think about what's going on here, this is just step one. Okay. Recently at HederaCon, they had an interview with the co-founder and CBO of Zonix. This is how they are leading a real-world asset tokenization on Hedera, plus exciting new developments launching on Hedera this year. This is the start. This is just step one. Check this out.
My name is Sanjeev. I'm the co-founder and chief business officer of Zonix. And we are into RWA since 2017. What Zonix has built is actually the largest RWA ecosystem on this planet. And I'm not exaggerating because we have built on most of the chains like Coinbase's Base, Solana, Polygon, and of course Hedera. Yeah. And what we've done is actually for an institution to push the assets on chain, they would require a couple of things. They require an ecosystem, which is an interoperable in between different chains, and at the same time custodian. So we have inbuilt custodians as well, and we have wallet providers as well. And then the best part, what we have done is, because these are financial securities, they are not NFTs or meme coins, financial securities require regulations. So we inbuilt all these regulations in our smart contract. So based on the jurisdiction of an asset class, you can get the regulation which is applicable in that particular jurisdiction. So that's something which is like really cool. So if you are issuing any securities in the US, it is SEC's Reg D 506E, Reg D 506B, Reg S issuances. But if you are issuing something in Germany, it is BaFin regulation. So that's what we built over the years. Today is the time when we are actually going to be launching two major projects on Hedera. Okay. One is the a German issuer who's actually an asset management company, and they're actually pushing the assets on Hedera chain. And we've been building on Hedera since 1.5 years now. Yeah, so it's kind of it's quite a long time for us to pay on this. Yeah, interoperability is definitely a crucial. I mean, I would not say that anybody would resolve that issue yet. There are a lot of efforts that have actually been put in today. We have our own standard, which is for any EVM compatible chain is ERC 7518. It's a by default standard for RWA tokenization. And for non-EVM compatibility is DCENT. So it's a dynamic interoperable protocol. So what it does is it actually can can integrate with any EVM, non-EVM, permissionless chain, and it's a easy plug and play. That's exactly one of the solutions which ZoneX has actually put forward. So the industry is moving at the right direction, right? Why? Because think about like what Chainlink has. Chainlink has got CCIP as well, right? For an interoperable play as well. We work with Chainlink CCIP as well, right? What I see is when the issuer wants to issue any financial securities on chain, they don't actually want to know any particular chain where they are actually going to be issuing securities on. They wanted to know where the liquidity is going to come from, right? And that's one of the reasons that what we see is if I'm using one particular chain to issue securities and the liquidity is built on the other chain, I have to move the assets on one chain to another. And that's one of the reasons that interoperability plays a very important role. So in next 4 to 5 years, I think we should be seeing probably a very easy interoperable play in between all the chains, all the leading chains. What ZoneX has built, ZoneX cannot do everything on our own, right? So ZoneX has built the largest ecosystem of RWA in the infrastructure. So think about it, the issuer would have different custodians like Zodia or Copper or Vidgo, or then you have different wallet providers, different blockchains. And top of that, what ZoneX has is the regulations, the global oracle of all the regulations inbuilt in these platforms as well. And at the same time, we are also introducing something called as Connect, where if you're issuing tokens, who is going to be buying it on a buy side? So there are multiple buy side networks like hedge funds, family offices, pension funds, endowment funds. They would probably want to invest in securities which are issuing on a sale side. So we build the whole ecosystem to make it happen, and that's exactly what we see when we say that we've built the largest ecosystem of RWA, and that's what ZoneX has been proudly kind of pushing this RWA's digital assets area.
And this is just one player that is tapped in with Hedera, right? Like you got to think about it like this: ZoneX is tapped in with Hedera. Aberdeen through Archix is tapped in with Hedera. Red Swan is tapped in with Hedera. There is so many tokenization giants that are utilizing Hedera today, and this is just tokenization. We're not talking about going back to the AI push with NVIDIA and Intel through Equity Lab. Everything that we are watching happen on Hedera today is the beginning stages of the tokenization revolution, and we're not even starting to see the biggest push yet on tokenization, yet we're already at $23.13 billion. So if we're thinking about this value compared to the $867 trillion, right? Like $867 trillion to a lot of people, that's a crazy amount. But that's how much money could be disrupted by blockchain. And that was back in 2021, 4 years ago now. Okay, so think about what that number is today, and just going off of where we're at right now with 23 billion, the overall amount of adoption still left to hit this market is going to be insane. We talk about some of these figures, and a lot of people still say like, oh, this is just clickbait, this is nonsense. But think about the overall change happening in the world, right? Everything is moving to automated, AI, digital. Crypto is the accelerator around the value side moving digital. The overall difference here from 23 billion to 867 trillion. We talk about the 200x push, right? From 3 trillion to 4 trillion to 867 trillion. This number on chain in terms of RWAs to this number in terms of the blockchain value disruption from the World Economic Forum, which just recently put out a report with Accenture, one of the biggest enterprise giants. This is a 37,600 plus X difference. That's how much more money is set to move on chain, because everything of value will be tokenized. We are just witnessing the starting point of this. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.